I want to welcome you to session number 8 of our digital marketing class, where we shall be diving in to understand what we call storytelling in marketing, and then also we shall also look at how to create engaging content. Just a simple recap before we dive deeper into today's session. Previously, in session number 7, we looked at copywriting and also how to write effective headlines. We were able to understand the best practices that we as digital marketers can put into practice as we craft or as we write a very persuasive text-based content online, and we share it on the different online platforms. We also looked at how to write very effective headlines which will capture the attention of the readers, and they will attract them to be in position to continue reading even the next or the remaining content of our posts. So right about today, we want to learn what we call storytelling in marketing. Later on, we shall be winding up today's session by looking at how to create engaging content. By the end of today's session, we expect to be able to understand the meaning of storytelling in marketing. We shall also discover why stories are very important in the digital marketing success. We shall identify the elements of an effective marketing story, and then we shall learn how to create engaging content that connects with the different audiences that we target on our online platforms. And then lastly, I'll be tasking you to develop a simple brand and then also craft stories for that particular brand, which can be a brand, your personal brand, or your business. And we're beginning by basically understanding what storytelling is. Storytelling is the art of using stories to communicate ideas, messages, and experiences in a way that will connect emotionally with the audience that the story is targeting. So in marketing, storytelling is the art of using narratives to basically communicate ideas and experiences in a way that is going to trigger somebody's emotions. And then after triggering somebody's emotion, then a connection is built between the person who is viewing the post or the story together with the brand. Instead of simply telling customers what a business sells, as a digital marketer, you are highly recommended or encouraged to tell stories, craft compelling stories, which will help the customer understand why actually your business exists, and also how that particular business is able to improve their lives. As we create stories, we should be very mindful of the 3 basic components. We should mind about the customer, mind about the brand, and then mind about the solution that the brand is actually forwarding or extending. So as we tell stories, we aim at building that emotional connection, that emotional likeness, whereby you find that people emotionally, they feel connected, they feel attached to either your personal brand or to your brand or your business. Let's look at why is it so important for us to tell stories as digital marketers. The very first reason as to why it is very important for us to tell stories is stories can create an emotional connection. I have talked about this. You know, most people can easily remember stories rather than the facts. So if you told a story, if you decide to post this as your post online, and then another person took time and posted a story like this particular story you are seeing right here, that 2 years ago, Sarah had a limited computer skills and struggled to find employment. After completing ICT training, she was able to gain digital skills and started working online. Trust me, because of the story that is being told in this particular message, somebody will connect easily to probably the institution where Sarah went and studied and gained the computer skills, which ideally at the very end enabled her to be able to gain digital skills. And then because she gained digital skills, she started working online, which is not quite easy for you to do when you have not learned what we call the digital skills. So people will feel more connected to a story of this type rather than a simple message like this one, which says join our ICT training course. So what is prompting? Why should someone even think of joining the ICT training course? But through this simple story message that you are seeing here, somebody is educated, somebody is guided, and then somebody is enlightened very well why even that person should be able to join the course. And then somebody gets to understand even why or how he or she will benefit at the end of the training. So it creates emotional connection because people will be able to remember the stories that are posted or that are shared by the brand than just basic facts. Then secondly, stories build trust. Stories make it very easy to reveal the real experiences behind the business. And then stories also makes the brands memorable. When you create stories on your online platforms as a digital marketer, trust me, it's going to create a difference between you and your competitors, because your competitors may not necessarily be able to tell their stories online, but because you are able to narrate to them, you are able to narrate to people who are always interacting or visiting your online platforms, then trust me, you are going to stick into their minds. And since you stick into their minds, then there is a likelihood that you will be able to create a distinction between you and your other competitors. So in other words, they will be thinking about you rather than any other competitor that you have. For example, at SharpTech School of Computing, if we are always telling our stories online, we are creating that connection between us and potential people who could be interested in maybe enrolling for a course at our school, which actually does not happen with other computer training schools that we have in Uganda. So because of that distinction, trust me, people are able to memorize, as SharpTech will be memorized in the brains of all the people who are always interacting or visiting SharpTech's online platforms. And then through stories, we can be able to explain the brand values. We can be able to communicate. We can be able to assure them our basic values. For example, we can be able to assure them about our commitment to quality, and then our commitment to success and any other value that the brand is built upon. Let us now look at the elements of an effective story. As you think of crafting a marketing story, what must be in the back of your mind? The very first thing that should be at the back of your mind is you should have a well-laid structure. And a good marketing story needs a very proper laid structure. And that structure starts with the character. And this character could be a person involved. And this could be, an example can be just a young entrepreneur who is thinking of starting a small business. So this could be a customer, this could be a student, this could be a business owner. After picturing that person in your mind, then the next thing you have to think about is a problem. You introduce the problem or challenge that that person is facing, because trust me, if you do not introduce a problem or a challenge in your story, then it means your business is actually existing for formality. It is not solving anybody's maybe challenge or problem. And I'm telling you, without a problem, then there is no reason as to why your business or your brand must exist in the story. Think of the character I've said a character can be a student, it can be a customer, it can be a business owner. And then as you think about that character or that person, think about the problem that the person is facing. Think about the challenge that person is facing. I've given you just an example. Here, our character that we are thinking about is a person who is a young entrepreneur who is thinking of starting a business. And then what is the challenge or the likely problem that that particular person is facing? The problem that we are thinking of is maybe this particular young entrepreneur faces a problem of lack of digital skills. And because he lacks digital skills, then definitely he will face a difficulty in attracting customers to his particular small business. And then now, this third aspect happens to be now the solution. You need to show how your product or service solves the problem that the person is facing. Picking from this particular person, this young entrepreneur who is facing a problem of lack of digital skills and also difficulty in attracting customers, then the reliable solution to that problem or challenge could be digital marketing training. Maybe the person needs digital marketing training that will enable him to be able to learn how to attract customers online. So you see, the person is a young entrepreneur, is facing a challenge of lack of digital skills and also difficulty in attracting customers. Now, the solution that is likely to solve the challenge or the problem could be a digital marketing training, which would help that particular person to learn how to attract the best practices of attracting customers. Think about the positive change that happens. What positive change does this young entrepreneur expect at the very end after getting the solution? Or probably this young entrepreneur will realize increased sales, and maybe a young entrepreneur will also gain new skills because he thought of starting a business, and then he has a challenge, and then but the challenge is being solved by him attending a digital marketing training. And because he has attended the digital marketing training, that digital marketing training helps him to be able to learn basic practices on how to attract customers. And now, after him learning the best practices, after him gaining the digital marketing skills that enable him to be able to market his business online very well, then the likely result could be increased sales. The young entrepreneur is expected to register an increased number of sales in his business, and then also the young entrepreneur will have gained the new skills. Finally, every story needs a clear message, and as you think of writing your next marketing story, you should think of making it a point that the message that you write in your marketing story has to be very clear. I've given you an example here. A simple message could be digital skills create opportunities in the modern workplace. So these are the basic things, the core elements of your marketing story. Think about the character, think about the problem or the challenge that that character is facing, then think about the solution that is going to address the problem, then think about the result, what happens after the solution has been gained or applied. Then all these have to be crafted in a very clear message. Let us now look at the types of marketing stories. As we think of creating marketing stories, we can think of marketing stories in 4 different categories. We can think of creating marketing stories which are based on the brand origin. We can be able to tell how a business started, tell how that particular brand of yours started, tell the story behind it, tell the journey that business undertook from it being an idea to it actually becoming a realistic business that you have been able to create or establish. And then we can also create marketing stories in the line of customer success. We can be able to tell how customers have actually benefited from buying our products and services from our brand. And then we can also tell stories basing on the behind the scenes. Tell what happens behind the brand, what actually happens when the employees are doing things behind the scenes in your particular brand. For example, you can capture stories when the staff are preparing services or products as they are creating the products behind the scenes. So that could be a very motivating story that can create attention, that can create a connection between the people, the potential audience, and your brand. And then lastly, we can also tell problem to solution stories. We tell how a customer's challenge was resolved. For example, I've given you an example here. Many businesses struggle to attract customers online. Okay, that happens. That proves to be a great challenge. Now, what is the solution to this particular problem or challenge? Our training helps entrepreneurs to learn online promotion. So, as we think of crafting marketing stories, we can break them down into these 4 spheres. We can think of brand origin, tell stories in the lineage of brand origin, tell stories about the customer success, how customers actually benefited, tell stories on what happens behind the scenes, behind the brand, maybe as the staff are preparing services or as the products are being manufactured in the particular company or in the brand. And then we can also tell stories basically by exposing how customers' challenges were resolved by the products or the services that our brands are offering. We are now shifting to look at creating engaging content. Remember, we have completed the first segment of our session. Now let us look at creating engaging content. Let's talk about engaging content. Engaging content is the content that captures attention and critically encourages interaction. So engaging content should be able to capture the audience's attention, and then it should be able to encourage that audience to be able to interact with your brand. It should be able to prompt that particular audience to be able to interact. And the interactions on our online platforms can be seen through the likes, through the shares, through our website visits, through the comments. As long as you are creating engaging content, then expect the audience that is going to view your content to be able to interact with your content. They should be able to like it, they should be able to share, they should be able to even visit your website. Then they should be able to comment about what you are talking about, or maybe they should be able to comment about what you have written about something, about maybe a product or service that you are offering as a brand. And then also engaging content should prompt the audience to be able to respond, and this can best be done with the help of maybe questions, maybe using polls that will prompt the audience to be able to engage better with you on your online platforms. And if you are posting and no one is interacting with what you have shared on your online platforms, then you are simply not engaging enough, and that means you are just talking to yourself. So as a digital marketer, you should be very sensitive. You should be able to understand that if you keep on sharing different posts online, if you keep on sharing different content online, and no one is commenting, no one is liking, no one is sharing, no one is even clicking your website, then trust me, you are not engaging them enough. Then that means you are basically talking to yourself. So let's look at the characteristics of engaging content. If you think of crafting engaging content, I would encourage you to make sure that you capture these 5 characteristics. Your content should be valuable. It must be able to provide useful information, or it should be able to solve a problem that someone is facing. I've given you an example. For example, if your content is talking about 5 keyboard shortcuts every user should know, this one is a very valuable content, and trust me, whoever is going to look at this should be very interested to read more, or if not, should be very interested to watch. Maybe if it is a video, the person should be very interested because it provides value. At the end of it all, someone is going to learn 5 keyboard shortcuts, and since somebody will be able to learn the 5 keyboard shortcuts, then definitely somebody is going to benefit out of it. Somebody is going to gain from the useful information that the person is going to get from your particular post. Secondly, engaging content should be relevant. It should match the specific audience needs. As you keep on sharing content, make it a point that it is relevant. It is going to match the needs of the people who are going to look at it. And then engaging content should also provide what we call visual appeal, because most people respond to attractive images and videos. So as you think of creating engaging content, make it a point that you utilize very attractive images. Make sure that your videos are nice, they are looking good, such that they capture the attention of the person who is looking at them. And then engaging content should also be interactive. It should prompt the person to start communicating. It should create a conversation between your brand and the audience that is looking at it. And then lastly, engaging content should be consistent. And now this is where our content calendar comes to help us. When you keep on posting content regularly on your online platforms, then trust me that your audience will stay connected with your brand, because you always share the posts following a reliable schedule, which can be well stipulated with the help of a content calendar. And the good news is we learned a content calendar in our previous sessions. Let us now look at the types of engaging digital content. As we think of creating engaging content, we should make it a point that we should think of creating content which is educational, because educational content will enable us to be able to come up with brand. We should be able to come up with brand origin stories, or we should be able to create value addition stories. And then also through educational content, we can be able to create what we call problem solution stories. We can also create inspirational content. And as we create inspirational content, we should be thinking about motivating people. And as we think of motivating people, we can think of capturing the behind the scenes stories. We can also create entertainment content. And as we create entertainment content, we are literally trying to create a problem solution stories. You picture a problem, and then how that particular problem was solved through what we call a story. And then we can also think of promotional content. Create promotional content which will encourage people, or which will encourage the audience to be able to take action. And this can enable us to be able to come up with what we call customer success stories. When you sit down to create your next post as a digital marketer, I would highly encourage you to use this 4-step framework. In this 4-step framework, as you are crafting your digital marketing story, think of starting with a problem. identify the gap that is available, identify the challenge which is existing. For example, you can say many young people struggle to find employment because they lack digital skills. That is an identified problem or an identified challenge. Step number 2 in our framework as we are crafting a digital marketing story, introduce the solution. Okay, explain how the business helps. For example, our solution is Sharptech School of Computing provides practical ICT training. So the outstanding solution to the problem that we identified is going to be got through the practical ICT training that is offered through our school, which is the Sharptech School of Computing. And then step number 3, you show the transformation. Explain the result. You show the transformation by explaining the result. And then, for example, learners gain skills that improve their career opportunities. Remember, the challenge was many young people struggle to find employment because they lack digital skills. And now, step number 2, we are saying Sharptech School of Computing provides practical ICT training. Now, the practical ICT training is the solution to the problem that we identified. And then what is expected after the young people have attained the training? So we expect the learners or the young people to be able to gain skills that improve their career opportunities. And then step number 4, which is also very critical, is end with a call to action. Tell the audience what to do. So as you are crafting your story, prompt the audience, guide the audience on the next action that they are supposed to take. For example, in this particular scenario that we are trying to address, we are saying enroll today and begin your digital skills journey. So they need to enroll. If at all they want to solve the problem, they need to enroll for a practical ICT training at Sharptech School of Computing, such that they can be able to solve the problem that they are facing of struggling to find employment because they lack digital skills. And remember, the transformation after they have enrolled for the training will be they will be able to gain the skills that improve their career opportunities. So as you think of crafting your next post, think about making sure that you capture the 4 steps as a professional digital marketer. That brings us to the end of today's session. However, before we end today's session, I would want to challenge you to do these 2 activities. The first one, you are going to put into practice what we have learned through this session. You're going to choose a business, and this could be a computer training school, it could be a salon or a restaurant. And then develop your 4 pillars. And these 4 pillars could be the background of that business. You tell how it started. And then identify the problem that business is solving. Because remember, we said without a problem, then your business doesn't need even to exist, because it will not solve anything. It is not going to be viable, or it is not going to be relevant. So identify the problem that particular business solves, and then think about the solution, how it helps, how does the business help solve the problem. And then you should also be able to tell the success or the results that are achieved when people or when the audience when they get to acquire your products, or when they engage with your service that your business is extending to the community or to the audience. Activity number 2, I want you to take time and create a social media content. You're going to craft just one social media post using the storytelling knowledge. And I have given you an example here of a typical social media post that is posted sharing the storytelling attributes or storytelling skills. You can see, meet John, a small business owner who struggled to reach customers. After learning digital marketing skills, he now promotes his products online and reaches more customers. This could be a typical story that is being shared on an online platform, maybe on a social media platform. In summary, as we wind up today's session, I want you to be reminded that customers do not only connect with products. As we think of marketing our products and services online, we should be remembering that customers don't just connect with the products. Instead, they connect with the stories and the emotions. Now, that is where storytelling builds what we call trust. That is where storytelling helps you to be able to engage your potential clients or your potential customers with what we call engaging content, because engaging content will provide value. And when you put the two together, the stories that you've written very well and the engaging content, then trust me, your brand is going to be remembered for ages in the minds of your customers or your audience that is always visiting your online platforms. Thank you very much for being very attentive up to the end of today's session. Let us connect again as we learn session number 9.